Hello, minions, henchmen, and future overlords in training. I'm sure we have seating somewhere. Just clean off the clutter behind the old death ray. I'm Ken Newquist, and I've spent the last few days at a cabin in the woods, but don't worry, there were no monsters and plenty of internet.
I'm David Moore, and I have been dreaming of machines. Today, we're going to talk about what's coming in Season 4. We have a new format, what games we intend to play over the length of the season. We're also going to talk about we're going to have our usual banter about the technology we use for gaming and the games we picked up between the seasons. So, Season 4, we are starting with a new format. Ken, why don't you helped put this one together more than I did. So, I don't know. It's been so long.
It's been so long. Yes, so I guess this is Season 4, the grand experiment. So we wanted to play around with a couple different things. We've been growing our audience over on YouTube ever so slowly. And although it's not all about YouTube, we are trying to figure out ways to basically cross-pollinate between different platforms. So one of the things we're looking to do is have different kinds of content, some of which will be YouTube only, some of which will be released through the podcast, some of which will be both. So the main show, basically, this is what you've got right now. It's going to be shorter. We're shooting for 30 to 40 minutes. We even have a timer. I just set my timer so that I could see how long we're going. Because once you get David and I talking, we can just go for
it's hard to get us to stop.
Yeah. It's amazing we slept when we were at Gen Con. But in any case, we want the main show to be about 30 to 40 minutes. We're also going to flip things around a little bit. So the main topic comes first and then the banter. So if you don't want to hear us geeking out about our technology and whatever new game we got in the mail today, that's okay. You can just listen to the main topic and then hit pause. You won't hurt our feelings too much. Another thing we're going to be playing around with is campaigns and coffee. This was something we've been talking about with our friend Chris Miller. And basically just kind of like, we get together every Saturday morning to play role-playing games, but some Saturdays it just doesn't come together. So we'll just maybe get together, have some coffee, talk about random stuff, and then release it as a stream and as a podcast. So we also want to do dedicated interviews, which would be like 20 to 30 minutes. We've done a couple of these over the past couple of years, and we would like to do more, but we're going to have them as their own sort of dedicated episode. So it's easier to find, easier to link to, all that good stuff. Similar to what I think we did with the Gen Con episodes, only maybe a little shorter. Then shorts. So David, if you haven't seen it, you should, because they're funny. We want to do shorts on YouTube. These will be 1 to 5 minutes. Actually, they have to be under a minute to be on YouTube, right, David?
Right.
Like as
under
a
minute.
Short.
And I do have to point out, that was not me. That was not me. That was
Alternative Universe.
Our Mirror Universe person. He's sub-level 2, room 4. We have to keep him there. He's got the restraining vest, with the Serenity patch, but he's got that mustache goatee sort of thing going on that I could not pull off. Definitely not me.
We do not want
he
his
gives
advice.
Really bad advice.
I was going to say, well, really good advice in his universe.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Destroyer of worlds, harbinger of terrible games. But in any case, more shorts. So quick hit little things to support the various games that we're doing. And things that we're talking about. Then we'll continue to do actual play. We're anticipating those will probably be about 2 hours. And instead of live streaming those, I think our intention is to build up a nice backlog so that we can basically just release the shows and you can consistently know that they're coming out. So that's a kind of lesson learned from Gen Con. And then also just stuff we want to play around with is demos, walkthroughs, and unboxings, and basically just fun stuff to support the game. So, for example, I've been kicking around the idea of doing how to create your own scream sheet for Cyberpunk Red, because I've used them in the game. I think it's a helpful thing to have. And there's a couple different ways you could do that. So do a quick little video that just kind of walks people through how to do it. I think I had another one about using Pinterest as mood boards, right? These aren't going to be huge detailed things, but I mean, they're fun and helpful hints. And I think in this case, they're actually helpful to do as video. Yeah, I could do it as a blog post, but I think they're better off as videos. We're also getting a number of different games coming in. So unboxings are fun, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
David has done more of these than I have.
Yeah, we're not sponsored. We just buy them with our own money and our bank account shows it. So
yes. And in some cases, we have been longing for them for years. And in 2024, it may be the year that Mothership finally arrives on my front door. According to the last Kickstarter update, they were really, truly going to be locking shipping real soon now, and a beautiful and glorious box set will show up sometime before the heat death of the universe. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a board game that I played when the kids, probably been about 8 years or so. And the company that bought out the original company is finally shipping the last of the Kickstarter rewards. Maybe. Yeah. So
I think the other thing we wanted to do was to highlight some things that people have just asked us about on Dice Camp or other social media things. Like, so I've been playing around a lot with Incarnate. And so people have been asking, hey, so do you have a review or a comparison of the different tools you've been using? I think putting up some of those things where we can walk you through the things we're actually doing instead of just talking about it, show, not tell. So I think that's kind of high level what we're looking to do.
Yeah, I think some stuff on Tailspire, because I still like it, and the theater that I put together for the initial Cyberpunk Tales from the Red game has gotten some good feedback. So maybe make some more games in Tailspire, and go through some other stuff. Maybe a demo on how I use Obsidian.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. I think there's all these kind of things that, like, really just being able to share it with folks in a video format. I'm not the irony is I've never been the world's biggest video person. I tend to want to read things because I read very quickly, and then just immediately get to going. But I will say my tolerance for video has been increasing recently, particularly as I've been watching all these tutorials for Incarnate. But we'll talk more about that in a future episode. So, games in Season 4.
We've been threatened with more Cyberpunk Red, as in Ken, the GM, has been hard at work with putting together maps for this, the remains of a corporate server room and everything leading up to it. And as players, we're scared, but so, we're going to delve into what is it called in Cyberpunk Red, the nuclear zone area that's being rebuilt.
Oh,
sort of.
Yeah.
Of course, I have to ask this. And
the hot zone. The hot zone.
Hot zone.
Yeah. So we go out. Yeah. We will not just be posting videos of us searching the internet.
Yeah, it's the hot zone. And so when we last left off, we had tried to get some radiation protection gear, and it was more duct tape than protection. So yeah, we're a little worried about that. I've been running some initial games of Dreams and Machines just for people in the lair and some other friends, and that's a lot of fun. We may see one of those games as one of the side quests. We did sunset the side passage we were doing because it just wasn't working. If you want to learn more, go back and listen to our when do you end a game? I don't remember what we called it even, but it was just a couple episodes back. Ken has picked up Dragonbane, and
yes,
I will do the have a copy of it on Roll20, but he has a physical copy.
I do.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that
funny
more
thing
in a
is, funny thing is, I was almost in a game, and we will talk about that in a little bit. So we enjoyed Mutant Crawl's Classics at Gen Con, and so Ken is all in on Mutant Crawl Classics, especially for upcoming Mepicon games and things like that. There was the aforementioned Mothership. That's a lot for, like looking at that's a lot for a year. But what do you all want to see us play? We're interested in those sorts of things. Like we played and talked about Marvel, the 616 system. You interested in seeing us play that? It was fun. I'd be interested in playing again, but what are you all interested in? So that's it for our season 4 format.
The list of possible games we could play is near endless since we have so many on our shelves. But I did have one that got away last year, which was Alien. I had 4 games that I wanted to play in 2023, and Alien is the only one I didn't get to play. But playing Alien and Mothership seems excessive. But anyway, we're just saying.
You played Mothership you ran Mothership last year. So why is Mothership on this list instead of Alien?
Because I want to use the actual box set.
The box set. Okay. Fair enough.
Yes, it's the box set. I mean, it only may be the unboxing of the box set, and maybe we'll play Alien instead. But hey, we want to know what you guys are interested in us playing.
That's a rough idea of what you can expect for format and what to expect in the future for season 4. And right now, let's head on over to the technology annex and see what Ken has cooking over there in the cabin in the woods that he's in.
Yes. So I got a new iPad Pro. This is one of these things. My old iPad it's an iPad Air 2 or something like that. I don't even remember. It's from 2012, 2013. It served me well. It's getting slower because, the OS gets updated, but the hardware is the same. And for the last 2 years, I've really, really wanted to get an iPad Pro. And then, we would save up money and get to that point, and then life happens. I don't know, we needed to replace the engine on the Highlander, right? Ken's not getting an iPad this year. So this Christmas, my wife and my mother-in-law surprised me by getting me an iPad Pro. And
nice.
It's been super duper nifty. I got it. I'm showing it right now. Is it upside down? No, it's not upside down. It's very fast, very powerful for a tablet. I also went and got, with some of my Christmas money, the Apple Pen version 2, which is also
cool,
super nifty. And so I'm trying to restrain myself from completely geeking out. But it's been fun because I've been playing with it for Cyberpunk Red and drawing the aforementioned maps that David's been talking about. Because I wanted to do something interesting, because I had come across, I don't know, a couple of weeks, maybe months ago at this point, the Traveler geomorphs. So these are basically geomorphs that you can, I should take a step back, because Chris Miller didn't know what a geomorph was. Yeah, geomorph. Yep. Geomorphs are basically kind of like puzzle pieces that each has a kind of terrain on it, or different sorts of shapes or what have you, that you can mash up you can put together like a jigsaw puzzle to make a map. And right, so the idea of the original dungeon geomorphs from, I think it was the Dungeon Delver's Guide from 2nd edition, was you'd print these things out, cut them up, and then boom, you just lay them out. I have I think Dungeon Morph dice, I think that's what they're called, which are these nice big fat 6-sided dice that all do the same thing for dungeons. And geomorphs are just handy, I think, not necessarily to make the literal dungeon, although they can be used for that, but to just kind of come up with ideas. And so, unbeknownst to me, the Traveler community had created Traveler geomorphs for starships. So these are starship geomorphs, which are basically all the different bits you could potentially have in Starship in these squares. And then again, you sort of download them, and then you could print them out and you could lay them out into a map. The Traveler geomorphs actually have additional pieces as well. So they have normally they're 100 by 100 pixel basically, or 100 by 100. I don't remember what the unit of measurement was supposed to be. But then they had 200 by 100, so longer ones. And then they also had specifically the edge pieces that would go around the outsides of the starship, so that you could basically have the center piece, and then you could add these things to make it look like an actual ship, because there aren't that many starships floating around outside of the Borg. So,
sure.
What I discovered was oh, cool. I could use these for Cyberpunk Red, because somebody went out and colorized these various geomorphs and basically turned all the assets to create a visual that looks like the computer displays from Alien. Okay, this is fantastic. And there's different colored ones, classic Apple II Plus green, classic green, amber displays. Yes. So they're very cool. And I just didn't quite figure out how I was going to be able to use them. And then I got the iPad, and it's been super cool, because there's this thing, if you have a sufficiently advanced Mac and a sufficiently advanced iPad Pro, there's this thing called continuity, which continuity. Yeah, it's magic. It basically lets you copy a file on your Mac and then paste it onto your iPad. So I downloaded an application called Procreate, which is an art program. It's used for illustrations and stuff like that. And so I could find the geomorph I wanted on my Mac, and then I could just copy it, and then in Procreate say paste this in, and then I could resize it, I could color it, I could change it, I could add in some battle damage, some highlighting, that kind of stuff.
Very
now,
cool.
why would there be battle damage in the corporate headquarters? I don't know. I don't know. Why I've been watching so much Resident Evil, David. No reason.
We're all dead. We're all dead.
But it's been super cool. So that was fun to geek out with, and to realize like you could just use these two things. It just became very organic from a game prep perspective. I've subsequently used it also for with Incarnate, which is a web-based map drawing program. I've talked about it a couple of times, I think, in the past. I've used it for battle maps. I recently started using it for overland maps, like regional maps for my D&D campaign. And so again, you can kind of do the same thing where you can use your iPad and draw within the application. I also found this cool thing called AstroPad Slate, which turns your iPad into a drawing tablet, which then allows you to
and I was really disappointed when you told me about that, because I was like, oh, I bet I have to have an M1 Mac, or one of the M series Macs. And it turns out it's actually Windows and Mac. It's like like $30 or something like that for it.
It's not even that. It's the free beta to start, but
oh, okay. But yeah, so like if I wanted to use it with like Photoshop or Illustrator on my Windows machine, I could do that. So, and given the price of what I find interesting is like the Wacom tablets. Now, obviously, there's not like a 17-inch iPad, but
right.
But like for a small Wacom tablet with a screen in it, it's about equivalent to the price of an iPad. And now, if you get the iPad and the pencil, you can have effectively that, and the fact that it's also a tablet instead of just a second screen that you can draw on.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited cool about it. There are some downsides. So like you end up needing to use something like AstroPad Slate or the other application they had for doing things like using it in Roll20. Roll20 doesn't have an iPad native application that you can use to actually draw on maps.
Right.
And trying to do this thing where you can extend your Mac desktop to the iPad and then interact with the application there just didn't work. Roll20 is just disastrous that way. But you know, I have found playing online for the last couple of years that like I miss being able to just throw down a battle map and sketch things out really quick, right? So I'd like to try that and see how it works. I mean, designing maps in Incarnate and other tools is nice, but I don't always have that time. So that's a cool thing. Look forward to creating more stuff in the future. I've also been like just messing around with doing some different like commercial art / design type things for Cyberpunk, but I am not ready to share those yet. So then also, obviously I had to get the Marvel Unlimited app for reading comic books. I've talked about it before. It's great. It actually doesn't break anymore, which is fantastic. And I need to catch up on the last 2 years worth of X-Men reading, because apparently like big things are afoot. So during my time at the cabin in the woods, I have been reading a lot of comic books. And then lastly, I got a case. It's ESR for iPad Pro 11-inch case. And I know you got the keyboard, right?
I got the keyboard one. Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't have a
Pro.
Pro. Sure. I have like the regular iPad.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I was going to want the keyboard or not. So I decided I just need to protect my Mac, my iPad, because I know me, I'm going to break stuff. So I needed something durable. The cool thing about this is it actually has a magnet case. So you can actually pull, let's see if I can do this without. So this part comes out of the main case, right? It's still in a hard case. This is a magnet.
Oh,
you can put it on your you can just put it on your refrigerator.
Oh, you mean the back of the case is a magnet too?
The back of the case is a magnet. So you could just stick it to the refrigerator while you're cooking, or you want to play Spotify or what have you. So we were watching YouTube, you know. So that was pretty nifty. I thank my brother-in-law David for that. He had one for his iPad Pro, and I'm like, this is cool. I need to get it.
Cool. I have enjoyed having the keyboard. I would like to be able to do what you do, because oftentimes when I pull out the iPad, I'll be doing something like there's a Hoopla is the name of the app, and it connects to my library, and I can check out comics and other things like that through it. And I've been binging on a lot of Hellboy and the BPRD universe lately. Oh my gosh, the latest stuff is really dark.
Yes. Yes.
And so I'll pull it out of the case, which means it's not in a case anymore. But it's a lot easier to hold because the keyboard case doesn't like fold all the way back or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I also use Scrivener on the iPad for my writing, and I have it hooked up through Dropbox so that when I finish on the iPad, it automatically syncs with Dropbox, and then I can go to my computer and it's automatically synced to Scrivener on my Windows machine, and I can type there and back and forth and back and forth. So that's really nice to have the keyboard with. But being able to have an iPad that you could basically stick on any metal surface is kind of cool. So I have a knockoff pencil that I do not like. And I don't know if that's because the pencil's bad or if because the rumors that I've heard that Apple senses if it's an actual legitimate Apple pencil or if it's a third party and introduces extra lag and things like that. Because I really wanted to use it for the iPad has really good handwriting recognition, but it's really laggy for me, and I don't know if that's the pencil or if that's the I don't know if it's a crappy pencil or if it's Apple wanting to have me buy the Apple pencil. But I bought the third party because I wanted to see if I wanted to buy the full Apple pencil.
Right.
And right now it's telling me, no, I don't, because it sucks. But I don't know if it's because of Apple or if it's because of the pencil. I also use Obsidian on the Windows machine and the iPad. There's a third-party plugin for Obsidian. Oh, wait, back up. Obsidian, some of you may know, but not everybody. Obsidian is a note-taking application. And it's not open source, but you control all the files. They're all just a format called Markdown, which is just plain text, but it's got very simple markup of like, hey, you want like a big header. I was about to go into HTML format. It's if you want like a big title header, you just put a £, space, and then your title, and it makes it really big. And then a slightly smaller one is 2 £, etc. An asterisk will start up a bulleted list, things like that. It's really easy to read and learn the markups. It'll even do tables, although those are a little more complex to figure out. But Obsidian allows you to create Markdown, view it in the nice format, and also do cross-linking between all your pages. It'll show images, etc. It's like you're kind of coding your own web page. In fact, there's a plugin to export everything as web pages, which is also pretty cool. And so I've been using it a lot for my regular notes, for like work and things like that. But I also use it a lot for the Dysonfall game design, and I've also been using it for all the notes and things for Dreams of Machines, the game I've been running so far, and it's been really handy. And so being able to use it on the iPad and on the Windows machine that I have is great. The one thing I would caution everybody is there are a lot of plugins, both official and community plugins, and you can go down hours, days long rabbit holes of formatting and other things like that, things that make really cool things that make it look like a monster manual type book with stat blocks and everything like that. And I went down that road for a little bit, and then I cut most of them out because I wanted to get things done and not just tweak it forever. It's fun to tweak forever, but I I can't do it if I want to get things done. So you use something a little bit different.
Yeah, I use a thing called Zettler. It's I think the folks on Dice Camp turned me onto this. It's basically an open source version of Obsidian. It does similar things in terms of being able to connect and link files together. It also uses Markdown. It's not as clever in terms of being able to sync across different places. I keep all my files on Apple is calling their thing these days, but still, it's not elegant. It feels a little. It's definitely rougher around the edges, and it's not. You have to think more, and it's really there's a hardcore community that uses it for things that are not creating local wikis for role playing games. So
yeah, the thing I like about Obsidian is at the end of the day, if I don't like Obsidian, I still have all my files and they're all in Markdown, and I can just take that whole directory full of files and move it over to something like Zettler, because Zettler is also all Markdown. And if nothing else like that happens, it's still text files at the end of the day. So I'm not losing data. I'm not locked into some sort of walled garden. That's the thing I like about Obsidian and other things like Zettler. Things like Notion, it's always online and it's a walled garden. It's hard to get your data in and out. So that's why I tend to like Obsidian better, because I'm sick of walled gardens now. I really like the Mac stuff because it just works most of the time, but I also like my data being mine.
Indeed. So if we want to
venture over to
the game room.
Yeah, to the game room. That's the place I really like.
As we do the parallel intros. So we might need to upgrade this place. We're trying to really like make sure we refurbish and like really leverage the lair. And the game room just seems very conventional. Maybe the polyhedral cathedral. I mean, it's a little sing-songy, but
I mean, it's getting really crowded in here with all the games we keep picking up. So we might need to expand.
This is true. So I got Dragonbane. We talked with the folks at Free League about this when we were at Gen Con. Free League, as I think many people know, is a publisher out of Sweden. This is actually based on a Swedish role-playing game, their first and biggest tabletop RPG, which was released in 1982, called Drakar och Demoner. My family is, in fact, Swedish. My grandfather came over here from Sweden as a teenager. He taught nobody Swedish. So I am unable to speak Swedish. However, I still do like to occasionally embrace my Swedish roots. And I think it'd be super cool to play a tabletop RPG from Sweden. Its tagline is mirth and mayhem, and it has mallards, which are duck people, basically. I think you're familiar with the duck people, right?
I am. So my local gaming shop, which is amazing. I went, and there's a group that plays a bunch of different games, but they were going to play Dragonbane. And it was during the holidays at the end of the year. And I was like, great, I'll come over with the Dragonbane. And so I got there and they were like, oh, you're welcome to play this game, but we hadn't finished the holiday themed D&D game module that we were going to play. So we're going to finish that instead of Dragonbane. I was like, oh, well, I really wanted to see Dragonbane, maybe make a character and play, see what it was about. And he's like, well, I've got the book with me. So, if you want to make a character and just hang out and talk with us, which is what I did. There is definitely kind of like the old style D&D feeling to it. I never played RuneQuest, which is kind of what it was based on. But like rolling up stats can be pretty harsh. There's not like a standard array. It's not like roll 4d6 and place them where you want to. It's roll 3d6. Or no, actually it is roll 4d6. Pick the three highest, but you have to put them in like order, and you can switch, I believe, 2 of them around at the end. So I am playing a Mallard Scholar. Well, I would play. I'll explain in a minute. Playing a Mallard Scholar who has a strength of 5 and a constitution of 7. He's pretty
So
smart with an
intelligence
of 15, but one thing I found out is that mallards in Dragonbane are evidently the descendants of Donald Duck because they have a problem. All of them are ill-tempered. And so they have a certain number of willpower points, and they can use willpower points to activate certain abilities, but they also have they also have to like make willpower rolls to resist flying into a rage and things like that. So if you can imagine playing a like Darkwing Duck, but played by Donald Duck, that's basically kind of like one of the classes there. So I really want to play this guy here, but unfortunately they play on Wednesdays, and for the next 9 weeks I am in a writing class on Wednesdays. So and it would have been on Tuesdays, but we record on Tuesdays, and so I chose the Wednesday course for the writing class because the last session I did take Tuesdays, and we paused our recording during that time because it was holiday-ish time. So I don't know if I'll ever play this character, but I want to. So if Ken runs, maybe I'll play this character. And so we'll see how a mallard stalker who really doesn't have any combat abilities works in Dragonbane. Given all the pictures and everything of like dragons and mallards looking like assassins dropping from the ceiling, things like that, I don't know how long my scholar will last.
So I'll just throw this out there for my Swedish kin. If you're somebody who from Sweden who grew up playing the original version of this game, I think it would be super fun to talk to you about like your experiences growing up with this game, how it's different from D&D, like what the new version echoes of or harkens back to or what have you. I think that would be fun. I don't know if I will achieve that particular quest in 2024, but I think it would be interesting. Because this is an old school game. Like this thing released in 1982, right? So
yeah. Reach out.
Cool.
Yeah, I would love to hear how it went over there. Yeah, because it was originally, I think it was originally RuneQuest, but it was a translation. It was a hand done, they're all hand done, but like fan done translation, and then that morphed into Dragonbane eventually. Which is pretty cool. And I'd like to know how the ducks got in. Because I would love to know how the ducks had mallards. So
what did you pick up?
Far too many things.
Maybe one thing?
The aforementioned friendly local gaming store had a buy one, get one half off sale of an entire table of indie games. And so the first one I got was this. It has a tag, but it's the Quiet Year, which I've heard about for a couple years now. But this is the hard copy version. It comes in a little burlap sack. There's a custom set of cards with the turn summary, but also when you're if you don't have this, you play with a standard deck of cards. But with this one, it's like a standard deck of cards, but it also has all the rules for that card on the card. So that's pretty nice. It's got the rule book, and it's got some dice and what they call the contempt tokens, which are tiny little skulls.
Okay.
I don't have autofocus turned on, so it's going to be a blurry little tiny little skull.
That's the unboxing.
They're cute. But so I'm looking forward to trying this out. It's supposed to be like 2 to some odd number of players, but I may end up playing it solo. We'll see. I was thinking it might be an interesting thing, and I enjoy Ex Novo, which does a similar thing, but this is a bit more themed than Ex Novo is.
Cool.
The other thing I got was Microscope, which I have, I believe, in PDF already. And it's like you come up with the initial part of a timeline with you and your friends, and as you play, you're like picking an era, and then you can drill down into that era, but then the next person to play may jump far forward in the future or far back in the past. But the one hard and fast rule is you can't change what somebody else put down. You may put the events that lead up to certain things, and you may like change how the outcome from those events or of that person may happen, may change. But like if someone had decided that, I'm just going to open to a random page here, that the princess spends the summer as the ward of the Duke, Colliard's father, that can't change. But saying that the prince was slain to save the sister from marriage to that Duke, well, you know, that's totally, somebody else could totally do that. It's neat. It's yet another kind of setting building thing, similar to A Quiet Year. I guess I'm into building settings at this point. Couple other things I picked up because I keep hearing about it all over the place. Justin Alexander, the Alexandrian. So You Want to Be a Game Master. I've gone through it a fair amount. I haven't read the whole thing. But if you are a new game master, or you want to be a game master, like the title says, or you've been playing for a few years and you want to pick up other tips and things, techniques, this is a pretty good book. It's very mechanical, at least not so far that I've found. There's not techniques for better role playing per se, but there are a lot of techniques for building dungeons, building settings. There's information on building urban crawls and hex crawls, and some other things like that. And it's an interesting resource. So I would take a look. I would flip through it, see if it's for you. It's not too expensive. It was $25 for this giant honking thing. And I do like having the physical book, because I can put in, I can put in a very old bookmark into it and go, oh, that's where I was, instead of opening up a PDF and going, where was I?
Right.
I only have two more things. I promise it's not going to go on too much longer. As people who have watched this know, I am big fans of post-apocalyptic things. And I got two things that are kind of post-apocalyptic. One is Mutant Year Zero, Ad Astra, which is their new like setting / module book for Mutant Year Zero. It technically hooks into the previous set of things, and it's pretty cool. I like it. It's got some interesting world building in it. I don't know if we'll ever play it, but it's cool. I wanted some more interesting ideas about, post-apocalyptic space, kind of mining it for some ideas for Dyson Fall. I don't know that a lot of that will come from here, but I still enjoy reading it. So maybe we'll play Mutant Year Zero, or a portion of it, as one of the many games that we talked about already this year that we would be playing in season 4. And the last one is not actually a role-playing game. It is still a game. It's called Bangarang in the Gutterlands. And it was, there's a YouTuber called Bill Making Stuff, and he builds lots of stuff, little robots and meaty boys, as they're called, and rusters and uppers. And basically he builds those things like out of beads and cut up spray bottles and all kinds of stuff. They look really cool when he's done. And this is basically a minis game that he did with another fellow YouTuber called Apocrypha Now, and they put together basically a little war game, like a little skirmish game, and it's completely free. So I printed this one out, but it's pretty cool. All the art was done by Bill, and as far as I can tell, and the I don't know. It's neat. I don't know. Again, I don't know that I'll ever play it because I don't have a local group to play it with per se. I'm getting one though. I'm getting one. We got together. I played Dreams and Machines with some of the local people, and then the next day they actually came over to the house and we played the new Dark Tower board game for the second time. So that was a lot of fun, and we won that time. We lost the first time, but new year, new game, and so yeah, it was cool. So I might have a local game, and so if they're interested in minis games, maybe I'll play it.
Nice.
I did want to say one more thing before we headed out, which was you had been using Procreate and the Traveler Geomorphs, et cetera, et cetera. Owlbear Rodeo has had Owlbear Rodeo 2.0 out for a little while now, and it's pretty cool. They've added abilities to it, and yet it's still just as easy as it used to be to put together a game and go. The difference is it's not all stored locally anymore. So if you clear your cache, your entire game doesn't go away. Or if you move your computers, it's just not there. They store it online. And so they are charging a subscription model. There is a free tier, which is very full featured. I don't think they hide any features behind a paywall. I'd have to check again. But so far, that's where I've run the Dreams and Machines game. And so they give you like 200 megs of storage space, which you can eat up pretty quickly. But yes. I haven't hit it yet. And so you can set up what are called scenes, and each scene you can have multiple maps with. So yeah, it's pretty neat. The only things that are really behind a paywall are more or less cosmetic things. So like if you want to have like a certain background for your game, it comes with like a random background when you create it, or you can select from their list. But if you wanted to upload your own, that's one of the subscription perks. Obviously more space to store things is one of the subscription perks. But yeah, I have always said Owlbear Rodeo 1.0. I would say try it. It's really cool. It's great for the quote unquote throwing the map down and doing stuff. Owlbear Rodeo 2.0, even better. They've even added the ability for people in the community to write plugins for it. And I use a couple of those, and those are really handy. The game room's really crowded. We need to exit the game room for more oxygen.
Maybe take a box or two with us on the way out.
Right. Yeah. Put it in storage or into Game Room 2.0. Ken, you brought us in. Why don't you take us out?
Yeah, so everybody, thanks for attending our latest Minion and Future Overlord training. Come and visit us over at lairofsecrets.com for supplemental materials.